The arrival of the Dominion. For 8 millennia, the Siraxian Dominion had swept across the stars like an unstoppable tide. Their massive capital ships, each the size of small moons, had brought 1,000 species to their knees. Their technology seemed like sorcery to primitive worlds. Energy weapons that could crack continents, shields impervious to anything less advanced civilizations could throw at them, and faster-than-light drives that allowed them to cross the galaxy in days rather than lifetimes. High Commander Varish stood on the observation deck of the Unyielding Glory, the flagship of the Dominion's 7th Conquest Fleet. Before him stretched the vast emptiness of space, dotted with stars that represented worlds already claimed by the Dominion. His slender, 9-foot frame cast a long shadow across the polished floor as he gazed at the holographic display of their next target, a small blue-green planet on the edge of an unremarkable spiral arm. "Tell me about this world," he said to Science Director Kylax, his voice a low rumble that seemed to vibrate the air around them. Kylax, shorter than Varish, but no less imposing with her iridescent scales and 4 piercing eyes, manipulated the controls of the hologram. The image zoomed in to show a planet teeming with life, cities sprawling across continents, primitive spacecraft orbiting the world and its single moon. "They call it Earth, High Commander. The dominant species are humans, bipedal mammals with remarkable adaptability. They've achieved spaceflight within the last century and have established colonies on their moon and neighboring planet. Their technology is primitive by our standards, but they're advancing quickly." Varish flicked his secondary eyelids in what passed for amusement among his kind. "Any meaningful defense capabilities? Nothing that could challenge even our smallest vessels. Their weapons are chemical-based projectiles, rudimentary directed energy, and nuclear devices that would barely scratch our shields. Then they will make an excellent addition to the Dominion. Prepare a diplomatic delegation. Let's see if they're wise enough to surrender without unnecessary bloodshed." 3 days later, humanity received its first confirmation that they were not alone in the universe. 5 Dominion ships emerged from hyperspace just beyond the orbit of Mars, each one dwarfing the largest spacecraft humans had ever built. Earth's governments scrambled to respond, hastily forming a unified contact committee comprising representatives from major nations. Admiral Elena Chen, commander of Earth's combined space fleet, watched the alien vessels with a mixture of awe and dread. At 53, Chen had spent her entire career preparing Earth's defenses against potential threats, but nothing had prepared her for this. The ships hung in space like metal leviathans, their hulls gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence that defied human engineering. "They're hailing us on all frequencies, Admiral," reported her communications officer, Lieutenant Park. Chen straightened her uniform. "Put them through." The view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that looked almost reptilian, with scaled skin and multiple eyes set in a face that seemed incapable of expressing emotion as humans understood it. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, having analyzed Earth's broadcasts, "I am Ambassador Thexus of the Siraxian Dominion. For 8,000 years, our civilization has brought order and advancement to the galaxy. We offer you the privilege of joining our glorious empire as a protectorate world. Accept our generous offer, and you will receive the benefits of Dominion technology and protection. Refuse, and you will be subjugated by force. You have 48 Earth hours to surrender your world." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Chen and the rest of Earth's leadership stunned. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session, debating furiously about how to respond. Some nations advocated immediate surrender, citing the obvious technological superiority of the Dominion. Others called for resistance at any cost. Admiral Chen addressed the council, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "We need more time. We need to understand what we're dealing with before making any decisions that will affect the future of our entire species." The council agreed and transmitted a message to the Dominion, requesting an extension for consideration of their terms and a meeting to discuss potential peaceful coexistence rather than subjugation. The Dominion's response came swiftly and brutally. 24 hours after Earth's request, one of the Dominion vessels moved toward Luna, Earth's moon, where the Armstrong International Research Base housed 300 scientists and engineers from 27 nations. Without warning, the alien ship fired a single energy beam that vaporized the entire facility in seconds. The message was clear. The Dominion did not negotiate. Earth watched in horror as the feed from the lunar monitoring satellites showed the destruction. Families of the researchers collapsed in grief. Nations that had been rivals for centuries found themselves united in shock and outrage. In a somber address to a global audience, United Nations Secretary-General Okafor stood before the cameras, her face etched with grief, but her voice resolute. Today, humanity has witnessed the true face of the Syraxian Dominion. They come not as explorers or even conquerors with honor, but as tyrants who value life only when it serves their purpose. Let our response be equally clear. Earth will not bow. We will not surrender our home, our freedom, or our dignity to these aggressors. The remaining hours of the Dominion's ultimatum ticked away. Instead of preparing terms of surrender, Earth prepared for war. The United Earth Defense Initiative was formed, combining the military forces, scientific knowledge, and industrial capacity of every nation on the planet. Old enemies became allies, pooling resources, and setting aside centuries-old conflicts in the face of extinction. Admiral Chen was appointed Supreme Commander of Earth's forces. She knew they couldn't match the Dominion's technology. Not yet. But humans had always excelled at asymmetric warfare, at finding creative solutions when outgunned and outmatched. We need something they won't expect, Chen told the hastily assembled team of Earth's brightest minds. They expect us to fight conventionally or surrender. We need a third option. Dr. Marcus Rivera, a theoretical physicist who had revolutionized humanity's understanding of quantum mechanics, stepped forward. What if we don't need to match their technology? What if we can use it against them? Chen leaned forward. I'm listening. Their ships emit energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before. They must use some form of quantum field manipulation for their shields and propulsion. If we could analyze these signatures, maybe we could find a way to disrupt them. How do you propose we get close enough to analyze anything? They'd destroy our ships before we got within range. Dr. Leila Patel, a pioneer in stealth technology, joined the conversation. Maybe not. I've been working on a metamaterial that can absorb rather than reflect electromagnetic radiation. If we could adapt it to a spacecraft, we might get close enough without being detected. Thus, Project Longshot was born, humanity's desperate gamble for survival. In underground facilities, shielded from Dominion scans, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly to create something the galaxy had never seen. A vessel designed not to match the Dominion's firepower, but to exploit their weaknesses. When the Dominion's deadline expired, Ambassador Thexis transmitted another message. Your time is up. You have chosen resistance over wisdom. The Dominion will now demonstrate the cost of defiance. 3 Dominion warships moved into position around Earth, their weapons systems powering up. But before they could fire, Earth launched thousands of missiles. Not at the Dominion ships, but into high orbit, creating a dense field of debris and electromagnetic interference that temporarily blinded the alien sensors. In the confusion, smaller craft deployed from Earth, carrying specialized equipment to passive scan the Dominion vessels, gathering crucial data about their technology before retreating back to Earth's atmosphere, where the Dominion seemed reluctant to follow, perhaps not wanting to damage the planet they intended to claim. For 6 months, an uneasy stalemate ensued. The Dominion blockaded Earth, preventing any spacecraft from leaving the system, while periodically destroying orbital installations as reminders of their power. But they didn't launch a full-scale invasion, likely waiting for reinforcements to ensure their victory. Earth used this precious time wisely. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a facility known only to a select few, Project Longshot reached completion. The UED Defiance didn't look like any spacecraft humans had built before. Its hull was a deep matte black that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. Its shape was asymmetrical, with odd protrusions and recesses that made no sense to conventional engineering, but served a specific purpose in its revolutionary design. Admiral Chen stood before the assembled crew of the Defiance, 300 volunteers representing every continent on Earth, the best pilots, engineers, and tacticians humanity had to offer. "What we're attempting has never been done," she told them. "The odds are against us. But throughout history, humans have accomplished the impossible when our backs were against the wall. The Dominion believes they know what we're capable of. They're about to learn how wrong they are." As the massive bay doors opened above the Defiance, revealing the dark ocean depths that had concealed its construction, Chen took her place on the bridge. "Launch sequence initiated," she announced. "May God have mercy on us all, because the Dominion certainly won't." With a surge of power from its experimental engines, the Defiance rose through the water, invisible to the Dominion sensors that had kept Earth under constant surveillance. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Defiance against the stars. The UED Defiance broke the ocean's surface under the cover of a violent storm, its revolutionary hull absorbing radar and lidar scans while its heat signature blended perfectly with the turbulent waters below. This was no coincidence. Earth's meteorologists had timed the launch precisely, using nature itself as another layer of concealment. On the bridge, Admiral Chen studied the tactical display showing 5 Dominion vessels in high orbit. The largest, the Unyielding Glory, served as the fleet's command ship, while 4 smaller but still massive cruisers maintained the blockade that had strangled Earth's space access for 6 months. "Status report," Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the weight of humanity's future resting on her shoulders. "All systems nominal." "Admiral," reported Commander Tenzin, her XO. "Quantum absorption field stable at 97%. We're effectively invisible to their sensors." "And our guest?" Chen asked. Tenzin grimaced slightly. "Dr. Rivera is in the lab, making final adjustments to the disruptor array. He says he needs more data to optimize it fully." Chen nodded. Marcus Rivera had been the driving force behind the Defiance's revolutionary technology, a system designed to analyze, mimic, and then disrupt the quantum fields that powered the Dominion's ships. The theory was sound, but until now, they'd never had the opportunity to test it against an actual Dominion vessel. "Set course for the outer system," Chen ordered. "We need to test our capabilities against a smaller target before we take on their flagship." The Defiance accelerated silently through Earth's atmosphere and into space, its engines operating on principles that defied conventional physics. Dr. Rivera had theorized that the Dominion used quantum entanglement for propulsion, connecting their ships to distant points in space-time and essentially pulling themselves forward. The Defiance's engines worked on similar principles, reverse-engineered from the limited data they'd gathered during the initial confrontation. As they passed the orbit of Mars, sensors detected a lone Dominion patrol ship, smaller than the cruisers blockading Earth, but still 3 times the size of the Defiance. "Perfect," Chen said. "Battle stations, initiate passive scanning protocols." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, the result of months of intensive training. Unlike traditional military vessels with rigid hierarchies, the Defiance operated more like a scientific expedition with military discipline. Each crew member cross-trained in multiple roles, ready to adapt to whatever challenges they faced. "Scanning complete," announced Lieutenant Miyazaki from the science station, transmitting data to Dr. Rivera's lab. Minutes later, Rivera's voice came through the comm system, excitement evident despite the distortion. "It's working. Their quantum field signature is exactly what we predicted. The disruptor is calibrating automatically. We should be ready in 3 minutes." Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes betrayed her tension. "Take us in. Tactical approach pattern Delta. Let's see if our theories hold up in practice." The Defiance accelerated toward the Dominion patrol ship, still undetected thanks to its revolutionary stealth systems. At 5,000 kilometers, well within range of the Dominion's weapons if they spotted the human vessel, Chen gave the order. Activate disruptor array. Targeted burst only. Let's not reveal our full capabilities yet. From specialized emitters along the Defiance's hull, invisible waves of quantum interference radiated outward, precisely modulated to interact with the patrol ship's energy systems. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. The patrol ship's lights flickered, its engines sputtered, and its weapons systems went offline. On the bridge of the Defiance, the crew watched in stunned silence as their theoretical weapon proved devastatingly effective in practice. By all the stars, whispered Commander Tenzin. It actually worked. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Of course it worked. Never doubt human ingenuity when our survival is at stake. She turned to communications. Open a channel to the Dominion vessel. The view screen activated to show a Suraxian officer, the alien's multiple eyes wide with what might have been shock or fear. This is Admiral Elena Chen of the United Earth Defense Vessel Defiance, Chen said, her voice steady and confident. As you can see, we've temporarily disabled your ship's primary systems. Consider this a demonstration of capabilities you didn't believe we possessed. Return to your fleet and deliver a message. Earth is not defenseless. We demand the immediate withdrawal of all Dominion forces from our system and recognition of Earth's sovereignty. The Suraxians started to respond, but Chen cut the transmission. Restore minimal power to their life support and communication systems only, she ordered. Let's give them just enough to limp home and deliver our message. The Defiance withdrew, leaving the crippled patrol ship behind. But Chen knew the real battle was just beginning. The patrol's report would eliminate the element of surprise, and the full might of the Dominion blockade would soon be bearing down on them. She wasn't disappointed. Within hours, long-range sensors detected the 4 Dominion cruisers breaking orbit from Earth, moving to intercept the Defiance. Leading them was the Unyielding Glory, High Commander Varish's flagship. They've taken the bait, Chen said. Now we implement Phase 2. The Defiance accelerated toward the outer system, appearing to flee from the pursuing Dominion fleet, but this was exactly according to plan. As they approached the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, the Defiance suddenly cut power to all non-essential systems, appearing to suffer a catastrophic failure. They're closing fast, reported the tactical officer. Weapons charged and targeting solutions locked. Chen nodded. Wait for it. Let them get overconfident. The Dominion ships surrounded the apparently crippled human vessel, their massive hulls blocking out the distant sun. On the bridge of the Unyielding Glory, High Commander Varish watched with contempt. This is their great hope. A single ship that barely functions, he said to his assembled officers. Prepare boarding parties. I want their technology analyzed before we destroy them. As the Dominion ships moved closer, Chen gave the order they'd been waiting for. Now, full power to all systems. Activate the array at maximum intensity. The Defiance roared back to life, its disruptor array now broadcasting across all frequencies identified in Dr. Rivera's analysis. The effect rippled through the Dominion formation like a tsunami. Ship after ship lost power, their quantum fields collapsing under the precisely modulated interference. Target the flagship's propulsion and weapons systems, Chen ordered. Disable, don't destroy. The Defiance maneuvered with impossible agility, darting between the massive Dominion vessels. Where conventional weapons would have been useless against their shields, the disruptor array penetrated those defenses, exploiting the very technology that made them so formidable. On the Unyielding Glory, chaos reigned as systems failed across the ship. High Commander Varish roared orders that couldn't be carried out, watching in disbelief as a supposedly primitive species turned his fleet's greatest strengths into weaknesses. Impossible, he snarled as the bridge lights flickered around him. They cannot possess such technology. The survey indicated they were centuries behind us. The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted less than 30 minutes. When it was over, all 5 Dominion ships drifted powerless, their weapons, shields, and propulsion systems offline. Only life support and basic communications remained functional, deliberately left intact by the Defiance's precision attacks. Admiral Chen opened a channel to the unyielding glory. High Commander Varish, I presume. This is Admiral Elena Chen of Earth. I believe we're overdue for proper negotiations. The Syraxian commander's face appeared on screen, his usual composure shattered by shock and rage. What have you done to my ships? This technology is beyond your capabilities. Chen smiled thinly. A common misconception about humans, Commander. We're remarkably resourceful when our survival is threatened. Now, shall we discuss the immediate withdrawal of all Dominion forces from Earth space, or would you prefer a more thorough demonstration of our capabilities? The negotiations that followed were unlike any in the Dominion's 8,000-year history. For the first time, they faced a species that had not only resisted their technology. The Awakening. In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, the Zarkonian Empire stood as a testament to millennia of conquest and technological advancement. Their sleek, crystalline ships dotted the cosmos, a silent warning to any who dared challenge their supremacy. But for all their might, the Zarkonians now faced an enemy that threatened to topple their carefully constructed dominion, the relentless Void Swarm. Admiral Xaira stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship Eternal Dawn, her 4 arms crossed as she gazed at the holographic display before her. The latest reports scrolled by, each more dire than the last. Entire star systems had fallen to the insectoid menace, their resources devoured to fuel the ever-growing swarm. My lady, a subordinate approached, his voice tinged with fear. The swarm has breached the Centauri barrier. Our outer colonies are gone. Xaira's violet eyes narrowed, her scaled skin shimming with barely contained rage. This cannot stand. We need a new strategy, a weapon the swarm hasn't encountered before. As if in answer to her desperate thoughts, a young scientist burst onto the bridge, ignoring the protests of the guards. Admiral, we found something that could change everything. Intrigued despite herself, Xaira motioned for the guards to stand down. Speak quickly, Zelos. What have you discovered? Zelos's eyes gleamed with excitement as he activated the small projector. The image of a massive, oddly shaped vessel appeared, unlike anything in the Zarkonian fleet. We've detected an energy signature from the Forbidden Zone. It's a ship, Admiral. An ancient ship of incredible power. Murmurs rippled through the bridge crew. The Forbidden Zone was a region of space the Zarkonians had long avoided, believing it to be cursed. Strange anomalies and unexplained phenomena plagued the area, destroying any ships foolish enough to venture too close. How do you know it's powerful? Xaira demanded, her interest piqued despite her skepticism. Zelos manipulated the hologram, zooming in on specific sections of the vessel. The energy readings are off the charts. And look at the design. It's built for war, Admiral. But here's the most incredible part. He paused for dramatic effect. It's not alone. Our scans indicate an entire fleet, dormant but intact. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. An ancient fleet, possibly powerful enough to turn the tide against the Void Swarm. It seemed too good to be true. There's more, Zelos continued, his voice dropping to a near whisper. We've partially decoded some of the ship's markings. They're not Zarkonian, nor any other species we've encountered. They appear to be human. Human. Xaira repeated, the unfamiliar word feeling strange on her tongue. I've never heard of such a species. That's because they're supposed to be extinct, Admiral, Zelos explained, his excitement building. According to our most ancient records, humans were a primitive species from a backwater planet called Earth. They were thought to have been wiped out eons ago during the first galactic expansion. But this changes everything. Xaira's mind raced with possibilities. a long-lost species, their warships perfectly preserved, just waiting to be awakened. It was a desperate gamble, but with the void swarm advancing, what choice did they have? "Prepare an expedition," she ordered, her voice ringing with authority. "I want our best scientists and a full security detail. We're going to the Forbidden Zone." As the bridge erupted into a flurry of activity, Xyra couldn't shake a feeling of unease. They were about to tamper with forces they didn't understand, awakening a species lost to time. But if it meant saving her people from the swarm, she would gladly face whatever consequences awaited them. Weeks later, the Zarkonian expedition ship Curiosity's Flame hung in space at the edge of the Forbidden Zone. Xyra stood at the viewport, staring at the swirling anomalies that marked the boundary of this mysterious region. Somewhere beyond that veil of cosmic distortion lay humanity's lost fleet, and perhaps the salvation of the Zarkonian Empire. "All systems are ready," Admiral Zelos reported, barely containing his excitement. "We've calibrated our shields to withstand the known anomalies. It's now or never." Xyra nodded grimly. "Proceed, Zelos. May the cosmic guardians watch over us." The Curiosity's Flame surged forward, its advanced shields glowing as they penetrated the barrier. For several tense minutes, the ship shuddered and groaned, battered by forces beyond their comprehension. Then suddenly, they were through. Before them floated a graveyard of stars, the remnants of a long-forgotten battle. And there, nestled among the cosmic debris, they saw it. A massive ship of sleek, angular design, emblazoned with markings in an alien script. "By the first Empress," Zelos breathed. "It's even more impressive up close." Xyra couldn't tear her eyes away from the ancient vessel. It radiated power, even in its dormant state. "Bring us alongside," she ordered. "Prepare boarding teams. It's time to wake the sleeping giants." As the Zarkonian ship maneuvered closer, none of them noticed the faint flicker of lights coming to life within the human vessel. Deep in its core, ancient systems stirred, awakened by the presence of the alien ship. And in cryogenic chambers throughout the fleet, the first humans in millennia began to stir. Captain Sarah Chen's eyes snapped open, her mind instantly alert despite eons of slumber. As the cryopod hissed open, one thought dominated her consciousness. Threat detected. Initiate defense protocols. The human fleet was awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. First contact and deception. Captain Sarah Chen stepped out of her cryopod, her muscles surprisingly responsive after millennia of inactivity. The ship's emergency lights bathed the awakening chamber in a soft red glow as other pods began to open around her. "Status report," she barked, her voice hoarse from disuse. A holographic display flickered to life, showing the silhouette of an AI construct. "Welcome back, Captain Chen. I am ARIA, the Artificial Response and Intelligence Assistant. We have been in stasis for approximately 50,000 years. Current situation: unknown alien vessel detected in proximity. Defense systems are on standby." Chen's mind raced as she absorbed the information. 50,000 years. The war they had fled, the conflict that had forced humanity to hide their greatest fleet and enter stasis, must have long since ended. But now, a new threat loomed. "Wake the command staff and prepare for potential hostilities," Chen ordered. "I want us battle-ready in 10 minutes." As her crew stirred to life, Chen made her way to the bridge, her steps becoming surer with each passing moment. The ship's systems hummed to life around her, responding to the presence of their human masters. On the bridge, Chen took in the sight of the alien vessel through the main view screen. Its crystalline structure was unlike anything in human records. "Aria, any match in our databases?" "Negative, Captain. This species is unknown to us." Chen's XO, Commander Raj Patel, joined her on the bridge. "Orders, Captain. Maintain defensive posture but power up weapons. Let's see what they do." Aboard the Curiosity's Flame, Admiral Xyra watched in awe as lights flickered to life across the human vessel. "By the cosmic guardians, It's activating. Zelos could barely contain his excitement. We've done it, Admiral. We've awakened them. Syra's elation was tempered by caution. Open a communication channel. Let's hope they're willing to talk. On the human ship, Araya announced, Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the alien vessel. Chen nodded. On screen, Admiral Xyra's alien visage appeared before them. The Zarkonian's 4 arms were spread in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Admiral Xyra of the Zarkonian Empire. We come in peace, and with great need. Chen's eyes narrowed. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Federation. State your purpose here. Xyra hesitated, weighing her words carefully. The human's response would determine the fate of her people. Brave humans, we have awakened you from your long slumber because our galaxy faces a grave threat. A ravenous swarm of insectoid creatures threatens to devour all life. We humbly request your aid in this dire hour. Chen exchanged glances with Patel. This was not what they had expected upon awakening. And why should we believe you? For all we know, you could be the threat. Xyra's expression fell. I understand your suspicion, Captain. But please, allow us to show you. Our homeworld is not far from here. Come, see the devastation for yourself, and you will understand the gravity of our situation. Chen muted the transmission and turned to her crew. Thoughts? Patel frowned. It could be a trap, Captain. But if they're telling the truth, we swore an oath to protect life. Chen mused. Even after 50,000 years, that oath still stands. She unmuted the channel. Very well, Admiral. We will follow you to your homeworld. But be warned, any sign of hostility will be met with overwhelming force. Styra's relief was palpable. Thank you, Captain. You will not regret this decision. As the communication ended, Chen couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Araya, begin full analysis of their ship and any transmissions. I want to know everything about these Arconians before we reach their planet. Understood, Captain, the AI responded. The human warship, christened Dauntless, fell into formation behind the Curiosity's flame as they set course for the Zarkonian homeworld. Unknown to the humans, Admiral Xyra was having her own private conversation with her second-in-command. The humans seem formidable, her XO observed. Are you sure this is wise? Admiral, what if they turn on us once they've dealt with the swarm? Kyra's eyes hardened. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. For now, we need them. Once the swarm is defeated, we'll reassess the situation. As both ships traveled through the cosmos, neither side fully trusting the other, the stage was set for a conflict that would reshape the galaxy. Days later, the Dauntless and Curiosity's flame arrived in orbit around Zarkon Prime. The planet below bore the scars of recent battles. Entire continents lay barren, stripped of resources by the Void Swarm. Chen and a small delegation transported down to the surface, their environmental suits protecting them from the alien atmosphere. They were led to a war room deep within a fortified bunker. This is the current state of our empire, Kyra explained, activating a holographic map. Red areas, indicating swarm-controlled territory, covered nearly half the galaxy. The Void Swarm consumes everything in its path. Worlds, asteroids, even stars. Nothing is safe. Chen studied the map intently. And what exactly do you expect us to do against such a force? Kyra's eyes gleamed. Your ships, Captain. They possess technology far beyond our own. With your fleet leading the charge, we believe we can push back the swarm and save our civilization. Chen frowned. Something didn't add up. Admiral, if our technology is so advanced, how did your people manage to awaken us? Surely our stasis systems would have been beyond your comprehension. A flicker of something passed across Cyrus' face. We were fortunate. Our scientists worked tirelessly to decipher your systems. I see, Chen replied, her suspicion growing. She tapped her communicator. HFY. Status report on your analysis. The AI's voice came through clearly. Captain, I've detected inconsistencies in the Zirconian data. Their claimed timeline of the swarm's advance doesn't match the evidence of planetary destruction. Additionally, I found hidden subroutines in their communication protocols designed to infiltrate our systems. The room fell silent. Syra's expression shifted from shock to anger. You brought an AI to our secure facility. This is an outrage. Chen's hand moved to her sidearm. No, Admiral. The outrage is your deception. What's really going on here? Syra's facade crumbled. With a snarl, she lunged for a concealed panel. Alarms blared throughout the facility. You fools. We awakened you to be our weapons, nothing more. If you won't serve willingly, we'll take your technology by force. Chen and her team found themselves surrounded by Zirconian troops. As energy weapons powered up around them, Chen allowed herself a grim smile. You really should have done your homework, Admiral. Humanity doesn't take kindly to being used. With a thought, Chen activated the emergency recall system built into their suits. In a flash of light, she and her team vanished, transported back to the Dauntless. As they materialized on the ship, Chen barked orders. Battle stations. HFY. Initiate Protocol Omega. It's time to show these aliens why humanity was feared across the stars. The Dauntless hummed with power as ancient weapon systems, dormant for millennia, roared to life. On the planet below, Admiral Syra watched in horror as her carefully laid plans crumbled around her. The true battle for the galaxy was about to begin, with humanity caught between the machinations of the Zirconian Empire and the ever-advancing threat of the Void Swarm. Human ingenuity unleashed. The Dauntless shuddered as Zirconian weapons fire splashed against its shields. Captain Chen stood resolute on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Status report, she demanded. Commander Patel's fingers danced across his console, shield holding at 92%. Their weapons are advanced, but nothing we can't handle. Our own systems are fully operational. Chen nodded. Good. HFY. Analyze their attack patterns and adjust our shield frequencies accordingly. It's time we showed them what we're capable of. Understood, Captain. The AI responded. Analysis complete. Adjusting shields now. The next barrage from the Zirconian ships dissipated harmlessly against the Dauntless defenses. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Return fire. Target their weapon systems only. I want to disable, not destroy. Beams of coherent light lanced out from the human warship, slicing through the Zirconian vessel's shields with surgical precision. One by one, their weapon arrays went dark. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Admiral Syra watched in disbelief as her fleet was systematically disarmed. Impossible. How can one ship stand against our entire defense force? Her tactical officer, visibly shaken, reported. Admiral, they're hailing us. Chen's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression stern. This is your only warning, Admiral. Stand down your forces and prepare to negotiate, or we will be forced to take more drastic action. Iris pride warred with her survival instinct. Finally, practicality won out. Very well, Captain. You've made your point. What are your terms? First, you will share all the information you have on this Void Swarm. No more deceptions. Then, we'll discuss how to proceed. As the immediate threat of violence subsided, Shen turned her attention to the bigger picture. HFY, I want a full scan of this sector. If the Void Swarm is real, we need to know what we're up against. Hours later, the command staff of the Dauntless gathered in the ship's conference room. Holograms displayed the latest intelligence on the Void Swarm, a combination of Zirconian data and HFY's own analysis. It's worse than we thought, Patel began. The swarm isn't just a mindless force of destruction. It's intelligent, adaptive. It learns from each encounter and evolves to counter new threats. Dr. Amelia Zhao, The ship's chief scientist chimed in. But that adaptability might be its weakness. Look at these energy signatures. She manipulated the hologram, zooming in on a swarm ship. They're using a form of organic technology, almost like a hive mind. Chen leaned forward, intrigued. And how can we use that against them? Dr. Zhou's eyes lit up with excitement. If we can disrupt their communication, we might be able to throw the entire swarm into disarray. I have an idea, but it's risky. Let's hear it, Chen encouraged. We could modify our quantum entanglement communicators to emit a signal on the same frequency as the swarm's hive mind. Essentially, we'd be introducing conflicting commands into their network. Patil looked skeptical. Wouldn't they just adapt to that too? Dr. Zhou nodded. Eventually, yes. But if we can keep changing the signal faster than they can evolve, we might be able to create a cascading failure in their entire network. Chen considered the proposal. It was audacious, potentially game-changing, and exactly the kind of innovative thinking humanity was known for. Do it. How long will you need? With ARI's help, we can have a prototype ready in 48 hours, Dr. Zhou replied. You have 24, Chen said firmly. The swarm isn't going to wait for us to be ready. As the team dispersed to begin their work, Chen made her way to the Zarkonian delegation's quarters. Admiral Xera stood as she entered, her posture a mixture of defiance and grudging respect. I hope you're satisfied, Captain, Xera said bitterly. You've thoroughly humiliated us. Chen's expression softened slightly. That wasn't our intention, Admiral. We're facing a threat that could wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy. We need to work together if we're going to survive. Xera's eyes narrowed. And why should we trust you? You've already proven you're far more powerful than us. Because, Chen said quietly, if we wanted to conquer you, we would have done it already. Our mission has always been to protect life in all its forms, even after 50,000 years. That hasn't changed. A long moment of silence stretched between them. Finally, Xera nodded. What do you need from us? Everything you have on the swarm's movements and behavior. And Chen hesitated, then pressed on. We need volunteers from your people. Scientists, engineers, anyone who can help us understand your technology and how it interacts with the swarm. Xera looked surprised. You would share your knowledge with us. To save the galaxy. Yes, we're stronger together than we are apart. As Chen left the Zarkonian quarters, she couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. If they could forge this alliance, perhaps there was a chance against the Void Swarm after all. Back in the ship's labs, Dr. Zhou and her team worked tirelessly alongside their new Zarkonian colleagues. The fusion of human ingenuity and Zarkonian knowledge was already yielding promising results. ARI. Dr. Zhou called out, run another simulation on the quantum disruptor. The AI's voice responded promptly. Simulation complete. Effectiveness against swarm communication increased by 17%. A cheer went up from the assembled scientists. They were making progress, but time was running out. On the bridge, Chen studied the latest intelligence reports. The Void Swarm was advancing faster than anticipated, consuming entire star systems in a matter of days. We need to buy more time, she muttered. Commander Patil approached, his face grim. Captain, long-range sensors have detected a swarm fleet heading towards the Zarkonian colony in the Arcturus system. Estimated time of arrival, 36 hours. Chen's jaw set in determination. Then that's where we make our stand. Alert the rest of our fleet. It's time to wake the sleeping giants. As the Dauntless prepared for battle, the rest of the human fleet stirred to life. Across the sector, massive warships shook off the dust of ages, their crews awakening to face a threat beyond anything they had encountered before. The fate of the galaxy would be decided in the crucible of Arcturus. Humanity, the Zarkonians, and countless other species whose very existence hung in the balance, all pinned their hopes on the audacious plan born of human ingenuity and desperation. As the fleet moved out, Captain Chen stood at the viewport, watching the stars streak by. In her mind, she could almost hear the ancient war drums of Earth, calling humanity once more to battle. This time, the stakes were higher than ever before. "The Void Swarm thinks it's the apex predator of the galaxy," she murmured. "It's time they learned why humanity was once the most feared species in the cosmos." The battle for Arcturus, and the future of all sentient life, was about to begin. Galactic upheaval. The Arcturus system loomed before the combined human and Zarkonian fleet, a glittering jewel of inhabited worlds now standing on the precipice of annihilation. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing the approaching Void Swarm. "All ships, battle formation Delta," she ordered. "Remember, our primary objective is to protect the colony and buy time for Dr. Zhao's team to deploy the quantum disruptor." Acknowledgements flooded in from the fleet captains, a mix of newly awakened humans and their Zarkonian allies. The unlikely coalition spread out across the system, a thin line of defense against the encroaching darkness. Admiral Tyra, now serving as Chen's second-in-command, approached with a datapad. "The colony's evacuation is 60% complete. We've got ships standing by to receive the remaining civilians." Chen nodded grimly. "Let's hope it's enough." "Araya, status on the quantum disruptor." The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. "Dr. Zhao reports final calibrations are underway. Estimated time to deployment, 20 minutes. "They're cutting it close," Patel muttered. "They'll make it," Chen asserted, her voice filled with a confidence she didn't entirely feel. "They have to." The first wave of the Void Swarm burst into the system, a writhing mass of biomechanical horrors that defied description. Tendrils of living metal reached out, grasping for the nearest planets and ships alike. "All ships, open fire," Chen commanded. The space around Arcturus erupted in a dazzling display of destructive power. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and weapons beyond the understanding of most species tore into the swarm. But for every swarm ship destroyed, two more seemed to take its place. On the colony world below, panic set in as the battle raged overhead. Zarkonian civilians rushed to evacuation points, watching in horror as pieces of destroyed ships rained down through the atmosphere. Back on the Dauntless, alarms blared as a group of swarm ships broke through the defensive line. "Incoming," Patel shouted. Chen gripped her command chair. Evasive maneuvers. Concentrate fire on the lead ship. The human warship danced through space, its ancient engines pushing to limits that shouldn't have been possible after millennia of dormancy. Weapons fire lanced out, catching the lead swarm ship in a crossfire that tore it apart. But the victory was short-lived. More swarm ships poured into the system, their numbers seeming endless. "Captain," Araya's voice cut through the chaos. "I'm detecting a change in the swarm's behavior. They appear to be evolving in real time to counter our tactics." Chen's blood ran cold. This was exactly what they had feared. "Dr. Zhao, we need that disruptor now." In the ship's laboratory, Dr. Zhao and her team worked feverishly, making last-minute adjustments to the quantum disruptor. Zarkonian scientists stood alongside their human counterparts, all differences forgotten in the face of annihilation. "Almost there," Zhao muttered, her fingers flying over the controls. "Araya, begin power-up sequence." Energy coursed through the device, building to levels that threatened to overwhelm the ship's systems. Zhao held her breath, praying that their calculations were correct. On the bridge, Chen watched as a Zarkonian cruiser succumbed to the swarm, torn apart by tendrils of living metal. "We're losing this fight," Kazira said, her voice tight with tension. Chen was about to respond when Dr. Zhao's voice crackled over the comm. "Captain, we're ready. Do it," Chen ordered without hesitation. A pulse of energy unlike anything seen before in the galaxy erupted from the Dauntless, expanding outward at impossible speeds. As it washed over the swarm ships, their movements became erratic, confused. "It's working," Patil exclaimed. "The swarm ships are losing cohesion." Chen allowed herself a moment of hope before issuing her next command. All ships, press the advantage. Take out as many as you can while they're disoriented. The combined fleet surged forward, tearing into the confused swarm with renewed vigor. But even as they celebrated their momentary victory, Chen knew the reprieve would be short-lived. "Dr. Zhao, how long until they adapt?" she asked. "Minutes, maybe less," came the grim reply. "We're already working on the next variation. But Captain, we can't keep this up indefinitely." Chen's mind raced, searching for a solution. They couldn't retreat. The swarm would simply follow, consuming everything in its path. They couldn't win through attrition. The swarm's numbers were too vast. They needed something decisive, something. "The hive mind," Chen murmured, an idea forming. "Area. If we modified the quantum disruptor to target the swarm's central intelligence, instead of just disrupting their communication, could we take out the entire swarm at once?" There was a pause as the AI processed the question. "In theory, yes. But Captain, to do so would require delivering the disruptor directly to the heart of the swarm. It would be a suicide mission." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Chen looked out at the battle raging around them, at the worlds they were fighting to protect. She thought of Earth, lost for millennia, and of the oath she had sworn to safeguard life across the stars. "Then that's what we'll do," she said quietly. "Prepare a shuttle. I'll deliver the disruptor myself." Protests erupted from her crew, but Chen silenced them with a raised hand. "This is not up for debate. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one." As preparations were made, Admiral Xera approached Chen. "You know, when we awakened your fleet, we thought we were unleashing a weapon. We never imagined," Chen smiled sadly, "that we'd be people, with hopes, dreams, and a willingness to sacrifice ourselves for others." Irena nodded, her alien features etched with respect and regret. "I was wrong about your kind, Captain. We all were. If we survive this, I swear the Zarkonian Empire will make amends." "Then let's make sure we survive," Chen replied, extending her hand. After a moment's hesitation, Thyra grasped it with two of her own. As Chen made her way to the shuttle bay, cradling the modified quantum disruptor, she felt a strange sense of peace. This was what humanity had been preserved for. Not conquest, not domination, but this moment of ultimate sacrifice to save countless lives. The shuttle launched, streaking towards the heart of the swarm. Behind her, the combined fleet fought with renewed desperation, buying her the time she needed to reach her target. As she neared the massive central ship of the swarm, Chen took one last look at the stars. "Area," she said softly, "initiate final sequence." The quantum disruptor hummed to life as the shuttle plunged into the living metal of the swarm's core. In a blinding flash of energy, Captain Sarah Chen, last daughter of Earth, gave her life to save a galaxy that had long forgotten her kind. The shockwave rippled outward, catching swarm ship after swarm ship in its wake. On the bridge of the Dauntless, the crew watched in awe as the seemingly invincible enemy began to disintegrate before their eyes. As the last of the swarm ships winked out of existence, a stunned silence fell over the fleet. They had done it. Against all odds, they had won. But the victory came at a terrible cost, and as the surviving ships regrouped, both humans and Zarkonians alike knew that nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The age of humanity had dawned once more, born in fire and sacrifice, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble at what might come next. A new dawn for humanity. The aftermath of the Battle of Arcturus spread across the galaxy like ripples in a cosmic pond. News of the Void Swarm's defeat and the role of the long-lost humans in that victory traveled faster than light itself. Across countless worlds, beings of all species looked to the stars with a mixture of hope and trepidation. Aboard the Dauntless, now serving as the flagship of the combined human-Zarkonian fleet, Commander Raj Patel stood before the assembled crew. His face was etched with the weariness of battle and the weight of loss. "Today, we remember Captain Sarah Chen," he began, his voice steady despite the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. "Her sacrifice saved not just our fleet, not just the Arcturus system, but quite possibly all sentient life in the galaxy. She embodied the very best of humanity. Our courage, our ingenuity, and our unwavering commitment to protecting life in all its forms." A moment of silence fell over the gathering. Humans stood shoulder to shoulder with Zarkonians, united in grief and respect. Admiral Xyra stepped forward, her alien features solemn. "The Zarkonian Empire owes a debt we can never fully repay. We awakened your people out of desperation and fear, seeking to use you as weapons. Instead, you showed us what true strength and nobility look like." Patel nodded in acknowledgement. "Our work is far from over. The Void Swarm may be defeated, but its destruction has left chaos in its wake. Entire civilizations lie in ruins. Millions of refugees need homes, and the power vacuum left behind threatens to spark new conflicts. Which is why," Xyra continued, "I am here to formally request an alliance between our peoples. Not as master and servant, but as equals. Together, we can help rebuild this shattered galaxy." Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd. Patel allowed himself a small smile. "I think Captain Chen would have approved. But this decision affects all of humanity, not just our fleet. We need to wake the rest of our people and let them have a say in our future." In the days that followed, the remaining human stasis ships were awakened one by one. As the last of Earth's children stirred to life, they emerged into a galaxy vastly different from the one they had left behind. Dr. Amelia Zhao, now serving as the fleet's chief diplomat, found herself addressing a hastily assembled council of human leaders. "The situation is complex," she explained, gesturing to a holographic map of the galaxy. "Many species see us as saviors. Others fear us as potential conquerors. Our technology, even after 50,000 years, is still far beyond most of what exists out there." An older man, his uniform marking him as a high-ranking military officer, spoke up. "Then perhaps conquest is the answer. We could forge an empire to ensure humanity's survival." Patel, standing at the back of the room, shook his head. "That's not who we are. Captain Chen didn't sacrifice herself so we could become tyrants." "Indeed," Dr. Zhao agreed. "We have an opportunity here to shake the galaxy for the better, to create a true interstellar community based on mutual respect and cooperation." Debates raged for days as humanity grappled with its newfound position in the cosmic order. In the end, it was AI, the AI that had helped save them all, who provided the clarity they needed. Throughout human history, the AI's calm voice resonated through the council chamber. "Your species has faced moments of great crisis and great opportunity. Each time, you have had to choose between fear and hope, between isolation and engagement. The data is clear. Progress has always come from reaching out, from embracing diversity, from facing the unknown with courage and compassion." A hush fell over the assembled leaders. Patel stepped forward, his voice firm. "We all swore an oath to protect life, not just human life, but all life. I say we honor that oath. Let's build something new, a galactic federation where all species can thrive together." The vote, when it came, was nearly unanimous. In the months that followed, human ships spread across the stars, not as conquerors but as healers and builders. They brought with them advanced medical technology to cure diseases that had plagued other species for millennia. They shared terraforming techniques to restore worlds ravaged by the Void Swarm. And everywhere they went, they extended a hand of friendship. The Zarkonian Empire, true to Admiral Xyra's word, became humanity's staunchest ally. Together, they worked to stabilize regions thrown into chaos by the swarm's defeat. They mediated disputes between species, preventing old rivalries from flaring into new wars. On a distant world, Commander Patel, now Admiral Patel, stood alongside HFY, watching as representatives from 100 different species signed the Charter of the new Galactic Federation. The document, holographically displayed for all to see, bore a simple but powerful preamble. We, the sentient beings of the galaxy, united in our diversity, committed to peace and mutual prosperity, do hereby establish this federation. In honor of those who sacrificed everything to give us this chance, we pledge to face the future together, to explore, to learn, and to grow. The stars are not our birthright, but our responsibility. Let us be worthy of them. As the assembled delegates cheered, Paddle felt a bittersweet smile tugging at his lips. He could almost hear Captain Chen's voice. Not bad for a bunch of primitive apes, ha. The galaxy was entering a new age, one of unprecedented cooperation and discovery. Humanity, once thought lost to the ages, had returned to play a pivotal role in shaping that future. They brought with them not just advanced technology, but the accumulated wisdom of their long journey, the knowledge that true strength comes not from domination, but from unity and diversity. As the ceremony concluded, Paddle's gaze drifted to the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. Somewhere out there, he knew, was Earth, the cradle of humanity, lost but not forgotten. Perhaps one day they would find it again. But for now, their home was here, among the stars, among friends old and new. The future stretched before them, vast and full of possibility. And humanity, awakened from its long slumber, was ready to meet it head-on.